Well, it is time for Vitruvian book review for the 2021 list number 9. And this one was definitely worth the read for sure. I It's weird. Okay, so you've always heard that there's nothing new under the sun, right? So that is true. And reading this book, if you've read something like, okay, Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect, that was the first review that I did this year. And you will definitely read Atomic Habits and find little themes through there that relate to the compound effect. I mean, a lot of similar ideas and disciplines and hacks. That's I hate to say hack, but best practices. Let's use that. You will find some similarities. You will also find some of the Art of Impossible from Stephen Kotler, which I've already reviewed. You'll find some elements of what Stephen Kotler writes about. All of these books, they tend to start to find there's certain themes, there's certain examples, there's certain scientific research that pops up throughout. And so therefore it can be easy to get into this mindset of, well, if I've read that book, I don't read to do it, I don't need to read the other. No, please do not have that mindset. Um, because what I have taken from this by reading these three books in particular this year, The Compound Effect, The Art of the Impossible, and now Atomic Habits, is that while there are a lot of similarities between the three, it's always good to hear something in someone else's voice, even if it is a solidified, proven truth, truth. Did I say truth? Truth, a scientific truth that has been even if it's hearing that truth over and over and over. The reason why is because hearing it in another author's voice, one is just that's a good thing. But secondly, it kind of reinforces the whole principles that these folks are talking about, right? Which is setting yourself up, creating a habit for learning and for researching different ways to do things, but attacking principles all the same way. So it's just I find it very useful to. It's kind of like a song that's a number one hit for one artist, and then it's a number one hit for another artist. Same song, just a different voice. Atomic Habits, though, here's my big takeaway from James Clear's book on atomic habits. One, if you've read The Four Disciplines of Execution, which is a Stephen Covey book, actually Scott Covey, I think is his son. It was Scott that wrote. I think that's his name. I hope I've got that right, and I've got the book somewhere, but I don't. Not in front of me. Anyway, one of the Coveys, not Stephen Covey, and some co-authors, I think, they wrote the book The Four Disciplines of Execution, which is a business book on basically the idea that we should be more focused on inputs than we are outputs. And you're hearing more and more about this. Nick Saban with the process. The goal is obviously to win a national championship, but just saying, my goal is to win the national championship is not enough. The real goal is to make sure that every single moment in that 7 seconds from the snap of the ball till one of his linemen hit the other lineman or a route is being run, that 7 seconds is executed precisely and perfectly each and every time. So if you'll focus on that 7 seconds, then the national championship, that's just kind of a result of a lot of other perfectly executed inputs. And so that's what this is about. And also, the theme that I like the most about Atomic Habits is this: we cannot control luck. There are things that are going to happen that are just completely beyond our control in life. The one thing that we can control to potentially have an impact on that so-called luck, goal achievement, weight loss, bad habit elimination, whatever the case may be, is to be the architects of our habits. We can decide which habits we are going to adopt, which habits we are going to eliminate. We can decide what are the consequences for pursuing a bad habit. What are the rewards for pursuing a good habit? We can determine these things, and it's different for each and every person. So and then one of the things I love is we can architect our environment. And this is something that I wanted to share with you guys in the review that I thought was really profound. And it's something I'm big on. So right now, I mean, I keep hearing this theme over and over and over that basically willpower is just a recipe for failure almost. If you're just relying on brute force willpower, then the chances of success are so slim because here's the deal. I did a video a while back. I don't think it was in one of the book reviews, but I talked about people that wanted to start exercising and getting more fit. And if you just decide that you're going to do like you're going to just kill it, with wads, if you're going to do it, if you're a CrossFitter or if you're going to run, you just decide you are going to lose 30 pounds. And the way you're going to do it is by running 5 miles 4 days a week. Okay. If that's what you're focused on and you hate running and you've never been a runner before, you may be able to, by pure brute force and willpower, gut that out for a month, 2 months, or 3 months. But eventually, if you're still relying on willpower as opposed to actual satisfaction and enjoyment in the process, by month 3, month 4, you're going to give it up. It's not going to last. And even if you hit your target weight or you run the 5K or the marathon or half marathon, whatever the case may be, the likelihood of you going back to that is slim because you've relied on, if you're having to rely on willpower, that means that you're constantly relying on doing something you simply do not want to do. And so one of the things that James Clear writes in this book is that disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control. Again, it goes back to that theme of you have the ability to be the architect of your life. And I can tell you that here's what mine looks like. I despise gyms. I cannot stand working out around people. I don't like to, especially right now in the era of COVID. That's just not where I want to be. And I have not been in a gym in, I guess, probably 10, 11 years. I have everything I need for my fitness regimen in my garage. It's convenient. It has everything that I need to perform and to sustain a healthy lifestyle based on my requirements. And so, therefore, I have architect my day, which is getting up at 4:45 in the morning, starting with an ice shower, and then heading out to the garage where I don't have to go very far. I have designed that to where it's easy for me to do. I have removed so many excuses. I've removed a commute to the gym. I've removed the dreading being around people and having small chit chat conversations and feeling rude if I don't talk to you between sets or whatever the case may be. I've removed the concern of picking up, the flu or COVID or anything like that. I've removed as many obstacles as possible to make it so that I am going to get in my fitness routine. It's the same thing with trying to eat well. If you create a pantry that is full of anything but crap and garbage that is going to make you fat, if all that's in there is good stuff, you're going to be much more likely to eat well as opposed to eating poorly because you have designed it so that you don't have to put yourself in that position where you open the refrigerator, you open up your pantry, and you look and you see, okay, I've got a box of Ho-Hos sitting next to something healthy, whatever that something healthy might be, a handful of almonds. Okay, you don't have to make that decision because instead you've designed your pantry so that you have pistachios, you have macadamia nuts, and you have almonds, and you're going to choose one of those to satisfy your food craving. That's the only thing you have. There's no willpower there. It's making any choice you make is going to be a healthy choice. You have removed the bad habit. And then he talks about how, this is tough at times because a lot of the environments that we find ourselves in, they're triggers, right? They're cues for a bad habit. Like for me, I've mentioned this in videos before. If I sat down right now to watch an episode of Mad Men, I can almost guarantee you I would crave a Scotch on the rocks and Stacy's naked pita chips. Why? Because whenever I was in graduate school, that was kind of my escape to sit down and watch Mad Men, one of the greatest shows, by the way, ever created. Don Draper, the most amazing character ever conceived, in my opinion, one of the most amazing. Um, I would sit down and I would crush a bag of Stacy's pita chips and scotch on the rocks and watch Mad Men. So that so now when I see Mad Men, that's a cue that triggers that desire, that craving, that underlying craving for Scotch and Stacy's pita chips. Well, now I no longer drink alcohol. I haven't had any alcohol in, I guess, like going over a little over 3 years now. Just not for scruples or anything like that. Just because I've decided I want to live as long as I can, and that's just one of the decisions I made. So now I don't, which kind of sucks. I don't watch Mad Men anymore. But you figure these things out. So here's what you have to do, because if I did want to watch Mad Men, here's what I would do. And here's what the book talks about. To prepare for that, I might have some Stacy's, pita chips at least, but I would limit it to a small, snack size. I wouldn't sit down with a family bag or just a full bag like I once did, but I would have some of those. And to get rid of the craving or to satisfy the hole that has been left by this new behavior, by getting rid of alcohol, I'd probably have a Topo Chico with lime in a Scotch glass. By the way, I'd put it on in a tumbler or a rocks glass, whatever you call it, on ice. I would want the feel of a cocktail. This is one of the things that James talks about. If you're going to go out in a social setting, you know, being around people, you see the taps at the bar, you see people pouring alcohol, all your friends are drinking, they're having a good time, they're laughing. And so therefore it makes it that much more difficult to not pursue the habit that you might be trying to abrogate from your life of drinking alcohol. So therefore replace it. You've got to have something to fill that hole and then reward yourself afterwards. That's another thing he talks about, is build in rewards for pursuing good habits. And a lot of the things that he talks about are things that's kind of cool. It was kind of affirming for me that I have actually implemented in my life. For one, my scoreboard. I have a daily scoreboard that is very visible every day. I check off certain habits I'm trying to either reinforce or habits that I'm trying to create. I have put them in a list, and Monday through Sunday, I check off every day and score at the end of the day which one of those that I actually performed. One of them is like creating a video and doing my book reviews and reading so many pages per day. Writing, I want to be a better writer. To do that, I have to write at least 500 words a day right now, which that leads to another concept that I found very impactful, at least for me, is so I just mentioned that I want to write 500 words per day, not because I just want to write, but because not because I want to write a book, but because I want to be a writer. And that's one of the things that James Clear talks about, is figure out who you want to be. Go look at someone that, if you have to, as kind of a muse. Figure out who you want to be and what habits are you going to have to implement to be that person, not just to do that thing. It's not, I don't write 5,000 or 500 words per day so that I can write a book. I'm writing 500 words a day so that I can become a writer. See, it's that whole process of becoming the thing that you want to identify with. So, and right now, reading 52 books at a minimum this year is part of me wanting to become this Vitruvian individual that's in perfect balance, where I have my emotions, my mental state, my physical being, all of it is in perfect proportion. So I'm becoming this, what I'm pursuing is this perfectly proportioned person. So I have to adopt these habits that will lead to achieving that outcome. So it's a great book. It's a really easy read. It's a quick read. It's a very practical book. I like the way he wrote the book, in that there's chapter summaries with every chapter, and there's an ongoing kind of um, how-to plan that builds upon itself throughout the book. So I recommend the book. I don't care if you've read every book in the world about creating habits, forming habits, getting 1% better, the compound effect, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. This is a good book to add to your arsenal. Like Zig Ziglar used to say, motivation is something you should do every single day. It's like taking a shower. Just because you've had one shower doesn't mean you're not going to take another one, because you will eventually stink. Motivation, you need to get it each and every day. It doesn't matter that you understand and that you even know a lot of what's in this book, Atomic Habits. I already knew. I know. I'm actually practicing some of it. So, but I also learned some tricks and some tips and just learning the science behind it. There's something about reading about the things that you want to do, even if you're doing them, that kind of pushes you to keep you going, to keep you on the right track. It's just that reinforcement. It's just that kind of that way you can give yourself a kind of like, okay, you're on the right track. If this guy has sold over 1 million books talking about the thing you're doing right now, that by the way seems to be working for you, then you must be on the right track. So, with that, check it out. Atomic Habits book review number 9, the Vitruvian reading list for 2021. Thanks for continue to check back here, please, with the videos I'm putting up. I'm just getting started this. I know I say this in like every video right now, but I don't want to come off as though I know what I'm doing or that I'm some kind of an expert. I'm not. This is my way of holding myself accountable to read the books, but then also it reinforces what I've read by coming on here and talking about it. It's kind of I've taken the notes. I go and I make the note cards. I put them away in a little index card filing box so that I'll have the ideas handy. But also, these reviews are a way to just kind of finish the book and then summarize it in my mind, and hopefully it'll benefit you as you go through your what your question of what do I read next and should I read this, and like I said with this one, if you've read some of the other books on habit creation and you loved it and you think, well, is this going to be more of the same? No, I mean, yes, some of it is the same. There's nothing new under the sun, but it's in James Clear's voice and he does a great job. Highly recommend it. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this review. Please subscribe to the channel. Please, please, please. Doesn't cost you anything. And who knows, I may actually get pretty good at this and give you something that you want to keep coming back for it. That's the idea. That's what I'm going to keep trying to do. Also, please go out to thevitruvianproject.com or jasonwrightnow.com. You'll get to the same place and sign up for the Vitruvian letter. This is my weekly newsletter where I'm constantly researching and trying new things and doing whatever I can to pursue life extension, a healthier lifestyle, better mental state, how to be a better father, a better husband, just to basically be a better human being. I do that by trying to improve always in all ways. That's my mission, because my belief is if I can be the absolute best version of myself, then the fruit of that will spill over and that will eventually impact the lives of others. That's the idea. That's what I want to do. It's a selfish pursuit on the front end, but my hope is that it'll produce enough fruit by me being the best version of myself that it will inspire others to be better, to be kinder, to be more mindful, whatever the case may be. Instead of going around telling everybody else what to do, I'm working on myself, and then as I learn, I want to share those things that I'm accumulating along the way. And so I talk about that or write about it in the Vitruvian letter. So please consider subscribing. jasonrightnow.com or thevitruvianproject.com. I'm going to be revamping the entire website. I'm building an entire ecosystem around this idea, and I hope that you will be a part of the community. Also, please consider joining the Facebook group, the Vitruvian Project group on Facebook. There, I just do little videos from about fitness, nutrition, whatever the case may be, and we exchange ideas in there. I try to present questions, few times a week on just things to kind of inspire thought and insight into your day, your habits, whatever the case may be. So please check that out too. And with that, thanks for checking this out. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.